day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS news for December 31, 2021. The Producer Price Index for the mining and quarrying industry increased by 1.4%. There was also an upward movement of 0.8% for the manufacturing industry. The information was released yesterday by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, in its November 2021 Producer Price Index report. According to Statin, the increase in the index for mining and quarrying was influenced mainly by an upward movement of 1.5% in bauxite mining and alumina processing, as well as other mining and quarrying, which rose by 0.3%. With regard to the manufacturing industry, the increase was spurred by a rise in major groups such as refined petroleum products, chemicals and chemical products, and food, beverages, and tobacco. For the period November 2020 to November 2021, the point-to-point movement for the mining and quarrying industry was 27.4%. The point-to-point movement for the manufacturing industry was 20.2%. Transport and Mining Minister Robert Montague says El Hydro, which supplies the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, with fuel, is now working on a plan to farm approximately 100,000 acres of castor beans as alternative fuel. Minister Montague says many of the reclaimed bauxite mining lands in St. Ann by Noranda Jamaica Bauxite Partners will be used to facilitate the initiation of the project.
It's a major industry, and we have spoken to JUTC, who is also doing another very novel and innovative project of using biodiesel. And the feedstock for the biodiesel is the castor oil. And therefore Noranda is first out of the gate, and they are participating in the pilot project. And we have already had discussions with El Hydro.
Minister Montague was speaking last week at the official opening of Noranda's Beltier Water Reservoir in St. Ann. He says the move will provide additional foreign exchange for the country as it also looks to export some of the castor oil. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is recommending a shorter isolation period for persons with a positive PCR COVID-19 test. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the decision follows careful review of recommendation by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC.
We are now recommending that we reduce the previously position held of a 10-day isolation, having tested positive, 10-day and release, to a 5-day and PCR positive test for release, or a 10-day and no test for release. So that is an adjustment in the approach which we would like to pursue going forward.
Minister Tufton was speaking yesterday at the handing over ceremony of 500 COVID-19 home testing kits for tourism workers to the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association in Montego Bay. Data from the Ministry of Health revealed that for most of 2021, the proportion of imported cases weekly remained below 3%. However, there has been a steady increase over the last 5 weeks, with imported cases so far for this week accounting for 1/5, or about 21% of confirmed cases. Dr. Tufton clarified that these cases are in reference to all travelers entering the country, both Jamaicans and non-Jamaicans. Meanwhile, Dr. Tufton says the country's COVID-19 positivity rate has increased significantly over the past few weeks.
Between December 12th and 18th, we were in the green zone of less than 5% positivity. In fact, we came down as low as 3.8%. This is our 7-day average. Last week, December 19th to 25th, the positivity rate was 8.8%. And so far this week, the positivity rate was 21%. The reproductive rate is just under 2%, so it's well over the 1% or below the 1% that we would like it to be. And as I came here today, I looked at the numbers. 365 positive cases for yesterday. It's a 32.5% positivity rate. 38% of that number are imported cases. As I said, not tourists, but persons coming into Jamaica, which is quite high.
Spectators will not be allowed at the upcoming cricket or schoolboy football matches scheduled on the sporting calendar. These include the white ball one-day and T20 international matches between the West Indies and Ireland, scheduled for January 8 to 16 at Sabina Park, and the semi-final rounds of Manning and the Costa Cup matches. The update came from local government minister Desmond McKenzie in a press release. He says submissions were received from the Jamaica Cricket Association and the Intersecondary Schools Association for a limited number of spectators to attend the games. However, it is regrettably not possible to accommodate the request in light of the rising positivity rate and the threat of the Omicron variant. Minister McKenzie says at this point it is simply not practical to give the green light for public access to these games. He says similar submissions from other sporting bodies are being considered as the government continues to manage the pandemic and monitor the situation on a daily basis. According to Minister McKenzie, the government will exercise flexibility as the situation changes and facilitate the return of spectator participation in sport in the safest possible way and in the shortest possible time. And finally, scores of residents in St. Ann, Portland, and St. Mary gained access to piped water supply for the first time following the recent completion of major pipeline infrastructure projects by the National Water Commission, NWC. The NWC is now urging the residents to become regularized by making applications for a new supply connection. Residents can begin applying for a connection in Uphill and Commando in St. Ann, Hamilton Mountain, George Luta Sport Road, Maca Hill, Marley, Barclaytown, Fellowship Hall, Fontabelle, and Jacks River in St. Mary. There is also Charlestown, Kildare, Fruitful Vale, Commodore, and Shrewsbury in Portland. The Commission adds that work is ongoing to complete other major pipeline infrastructure projects to address an expected increase in demand for water in St. Ann. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.